my videographer, his name's Gil. He's like my brother. Like he's like that's my guy. Um, he was like, "Yo, bro, you okay?" But then at the same time, he was like trying not to laugh. But once he saw me laughing, it was just like he started laughing. He's like, "Yo, you went down hard, bro. You went down hard."
Love is better given when it's worth nothing. Now you take it how you wanna, hope you learn something. Family first, cause life never came with clone buttons.
Well, hello and welcome. This is Low Vision Moments. It is the podcast all about those sometimes frustrating, potentially embarrassing, but often pretty comical things that happen when you are just going about your day with a visual impairment, blindness, or in my case, albinism. I'm Jennie Bovard. I am the host of this here podcast, and we are age 36. This is episode number 36. We're creeping up to my actual age here. There's a little sport that I might have mentioned a couple of times on the podcast before. This sport is called Goalball, and it is the only team sport intended specifically for athletes who are blind or visually impaired. Again, I might have talked about it once or twice on the podcast, but in the world of sport, I took up playing goalball later in life in my 20s. I'm still playing now, and being involved has had so many positive impacts and just really drastic ways that it has shaped my life. And one example of that would be the huge number of connections that I've made through traveling to different competitions and different events. I've made some amazing connections with some really impressive human beings. And I'm really pumped to have one of those impressive human beings with me here today, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. I have Jahron Black, also known in the music world as J.Dollaz. Welcome so much to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate being here today with you guys.
I have not called you Jahron a day in my life in the
And
Goalball community.
yeah, everybody calls me Black, and I think one of my favorite lines I always tell people is like, "Hey, they call me Black. It's not racist. Don't worry about it." You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and everybody would just be taken aback, like, "What? Like they call you what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's my last name. Don't worry about it. It's not racist. Like you can call me Black." So
I don't know what it says about me, but I never thought about it like that. That's just what everyone called you. And I hope this doesn't upset you, but when I try to say Jahron, I want to say it in like a French accent, like Jahron, and I don't know why. So I just had to get that
that
out of
might
my system.
that might be dope. I've never heard it in a French accent, so I might have to check into that a little bit more. Might have to take a trip or
A
something.
little alter ego for you there. So what else do you want the listeners and viewers to know about you?
That's a pretty long list of things that I can talk about myself. But some of my greatest highlights when you talk about goalball is me being an athlete and me playing a sport that is very specific and unique to people who are blind and visually impaired, and just trying to be the best that I can be at that sport. I've had the luxury and the privilege of going to Brazil to compete against some of the best talent in the world with Team USA. This was back in 2018. But my primary life is music. I went to school for audio engineering. I'm a songwriter. I am an artist, and I love conveying stories through music. And music for me is like therapy. And so I try to just deliver good music that it can help people in their day to day life. And so if you think about it, everything I've been doing for my entire life because I'm visually impaired is with my ears, whether it's playing sports or doing music. It's all relying on my hearing as opposed to relying on my eyes. So,
And you've been
yeah.
making music for a really long time. How long have you been rapping and making music?
My career kind of started out with me wanting to be a DJ when I was very young. My father and my uncles, they used to DJ at like nightclubs and events and stuff like that. And my father didn't really DJ, but he, my uncles and him all would go and he would help them carry like the crates because this was back in the days when they had crates and crates of records and the big speakers that they would take with them everywhere. And so that's what I started out wanting to be. And so I had turntables and just all of these different albums, and that's where the love just kind of grew from music. So I would say I've been doing this from at least from when I can remember, about 6, 7 years old. I had one of those baby drum sets in my room. So music has been in my blood, for over 20 years for sure.
Wow. And I can say for myself that I feel most comfortable in my life when I'm like in front of a microphone or to a lesser extent in front of a camera. I like you, I find sort of a comfort and a therapy there. And for me, I don't really know exactly why. I haven't quite put my finger on it yet, but I'm most comfortable speaking into a microphone. And like you, I've been sort of telling stories and for me attempting to make the people around me laugh since I was a kid. I used to set up my dad's old RCA video camera, had the tape that went in it, and I would force my friends, or no, rather, I would encourage my friends. I would encourage them to, yeah, that's the word. We would perform these funny skits and I would film them and I would make these parody funny radio shows with my cassette recorder. And I have been fortunate enough myself to have many years now experience working in front of the camera, in front of the microphone, but also behind the scenes in a lot of different capacities. And I've had a lot of fun. But speaking for myself, no matter how long you do something or how much experience you have or how comfortable you feel in a setting, in an industry, I've learned that there's still a chance that I could cock it up.
Right.
There's still a chance. And with blindness and low vision, whatever your preferred terminology is, that sort of adds to that possibility of fucking things up. So, one example happened right here on this podcast, not this episode, but an episode not too long ago with a guest who is a pretty well known name. I was really excited to have them on and get a chance to get to know them and pick their brain as someone who worked in entertainment. And I so prepared in advance. We recorded, it went really well. After we said our goodbyes, after recording, I went to play things back. And, you review things. You want to hear how it sounded. Did it go as well as I thought it did? To my utter shock and horror, there was absolutely no video,
Oh my God.
just audio, just audio.
Wow.
So I'm kind of freaking out at this point. I contact my technical and emotional support people. And after some investigating and losing my shit a little bit, it turned out that I had my computer zoomed in so far that when I was reviewing the settings ahead of time in the application we record in, I was zoomed in so far that I missed a complete row of toggle switches on one side. And one of those toggle switches said audio only. And it was my fault entirely. But I am going to claim a low vision moment because I was zoomed in so far. I had recorded something audio only in the weeks before and didn't switch it back. So it was a little painful. It could not be salvaged. We had to re-record the entire episode, but the guest was super understanding. They were really graceful. Not graceful. They were gracious, I think is the word I was looking for.
Right.
And the other really cool thing there was this person, I got to spend a little bit of extra time with that guest re-recording the episode. It was a bit of a blessing in disguise because he's actually since passed away and
Oh wow.
yeah, may Daryl Lennox rest easy. He was a great guy.
That is a crazy story, but now you have audio and you have a video episode to kind of go back on for memories and to even share with his fans and supporters, right? Like maybe one day you can put together a video montage of like different moments in his life and just put like audio clips behind it from the interview that you had with him to just show the significance of the impact that he had. Because I'm pretty sure like when he came on the first time, he said things a little bit differently than he said the second time. So all of those things could be important and be useful one day in the future.
You're so obviously an artist because this is exactly what we've talked about doing in sort of one way or another. When the time is right, we're going to release some bonus stuff and really, prop him up in the way that he should be. He was an amazing person, a very funny guy. But
Right.
let's keep it light. Let's talk about you now. Jahron. Let's talk about you, Mr. Dollars. Has anything ever gone terribly sideways in the recording studio or in the music making process for you?
Uh, things always go sideways. I think that's definitely a part of life. And so I have a semi funny story about an edible because my life is still kind of wild sometimes and stuff like that. So one time I went and I was like getting my hair done because I have like my locks are wild right now, but I have locks back here on my head somewhere. So um, I was getting my hair done, and my friend, she had made like edible brownies, and she makes them from scratch, but apparently she makes them very strong. Now I had a minuscule piece, a very small piece of this edible, because I don't really take edibles like that anymore, because it's a whole different type of it's a
It's
whole
very
different type of high.
physical. Yeah.
Yeah, so and I took this edible and I went home to get ready for the studio, and when I got home, I just like started eating a whole bunch of grapes that I had in the refrigerator, and I'm standing in the kitchen eating grapes, and then like I just felt my vision getting super clear, right? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm getting high for sure. So now I'm looking at my phone, and for context, if you can see my phone in my hand, like I'm looking at it and I'm just like there, and I'm just like tapping very slow, like trying to order my ride and stuff like that. And I have it super close to me, but at the same time, I feel like it's not that close, and I feel like, oh, my vision is getting better because it's like everything is so clear, right? But I'm tapping everything super close, like super slow to book this Uber. So I get in the Uber, I go to the studio, and like in the Uber ride, it's like this big truck, and it's super dark, and I'm just like, hey, I should just go to sleep in this back seat right now. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that's kind of like what I'm thinking in my head. Like I should just go to sleep. Um, I get to the studio and I'm waiting for one of my friends because we're working on a project together. And I'm listening to one of the songs we have, and like I'm just like sitting there like the way I'm sitting in this chair, and like I got my eyes closed and I'm going through space. Like I'm seeing all types of colors and everything. Like I'm just like, yo, I'm so when he gets there, I'm like, yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm high. Like I don't know what to do, but I'm high. I'm gonna figure it out, right? I go to try to make the song. I can't rap. I can't rap. Like I'm rapping behind the beat, everything. So I tell him, I say, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go home. You can finish the session, do whatever you have to do, and I'm gonna come back the next day. I went home, mind you, it's like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock the latest. I go home, I went to sleep. I woke up at like 12 a.m. and I'm just mad. And it's the weekend, so everybody's up, they're partying, and I wake up in a dark room at like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm just upset with myself. I'm like, I didn't have no business taking this edible. Like, this was ridiculous. Like, so like that's one of the stories off the top of my head where like every aspect was in play, right? Like me having to do music, my vision thinking that it's getting clearer, like, hey, like this might be the cure I've been looking for my entire life to my visual impairment, right? Like um and then just not being able to rap. And one thing I always say to myself is like, if I can't rap in the studio, then I can't do that particular thing anymore, right? Whatever that thing was that made me not be able to rap in the studio, I can't do it because I always have to be able to perform wherever I'm at. So, needless to say, I haven't taken an edible since then. So,
What stands out to me in that story is your vision getting clearer. And I've eaten an edible or two in my time, but they don't have that effect on me. Maybe I'm eating the wrong edibles, but I don't get any visuals. It's really just kind of a little bit more physical, heavy arm kind of thing for me. They're okay. They help me go to sleep if need be. But with the vision getting clearer, I have been there, and you probably can't relate because this is a putting makeup on type thing. But I have this little makeup mirror, and it's like, I don't know how many times magnification, very strong magnification mirror. And it has two sides, and one side is stronger than the other. So some mornings I'm still kind of out of it, and I'll have it on the lesser magnification side, and I'd be like, shit, my vision is getting worse. Like, I don't remember being this blind yesterday.
right.
Oh my God. I wonder if that's a common thing. I would love to hear from people watching or listening. Have you have you partaken in a substance or eaten something or drank something that has bettered your vision? And if so, do tell, because we're still looking for a cure for many different eye conditions.
Right, for everything we're looking for the cure still. Trust me. So, but yeah, that was definitely one crazy story. And then I mean, I've countless stories of just like tripping and falling and twisting ankles because I didn't see something or I just missed something. I remember this one time. I left my good friend. His name is Macho. Um, and he's like in a wheelchair. Unfortunately, like he got shot when he was like 13, 14 years old, and now he's like he doesn't really have use of 90% of his body. But long story short, I left his house one day and like I went to like step into the street to get into an Uber, and there was like this grate, to drain the water, like the rainwater, and like I've stepped past this thing plenty of times in my life, like leaving his house, but this one particular day, I stepped and I went down, and I went down hard in the street, and like I was so upset with myself, and like my videographer, his name is Gil. He's like my brother. Like he's like that's my guy. Um, he was like, "Yo, bro, you okay?" But then at the same time, he was like trying not to laugh. But once he saw me laughing, it was just like he started laughing. He's like, "Yo, you went down hard, bro. You went down hard." Because I'm a big guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm 6'3". Well, right now I've been losing weight, so I'm about 215. But probably this was like I was like 240 pounds, and I went down like boom, like it was crazy.
You
So,
tower
but I
over
got
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like I'm a big guy, so it's just like I went down, and that's sometimes like that, those are the visual things. It's like one day you could know something is there, but just visually you'll just step the wrong way or do something the wrong way visually, and it'll be over.
Well, it's because it's one of those things that I think people with good vision often take for granted is, you just glance at things when you can see things well, and we don't have that advantage. So we're like you, I know where all the potholes and where all the weird curves are in the areas that I know well. But, some days your brain is elsewhere, you're thinking about something else. And you like you said, you go down hard, and in the moment you're like, well, shit, they're gonna think I ate like too many edibles, or you know what I mean. And in the moment it's really embarrassing. And if you're in a busy spot, then it's like you got a whole audience as well. But chances are, maybe a couple people saw you, and then they neither they probably either think very little of it or don't even really care. Like, they don't know you, they're probably not going to see you again, and you just go on with your day, right? We talk about this a lot, that it's embarrassing in the moment, but then you got to move on and go on with it. We have mentioned that we know each other through Goalball. I don't know, in the times that we've encountered each other, you're just like this warm, easy to talk to person, but that doesn't
Wow.
really speak to the sport of goalball. It's not a warm and fuzzy.
No, it's not. It's a very physical game in itself, and then off the court, it's very much so political. As every sport is, right? NBA, NFL, whatever, right? Like it's very political. You can be one of the best players in the country and then still not get noticed because of, um, unfortunately, the color of your skin or the life choices you make or whatever the case may be, right? And some of these things I've experienced personally, and obviously I'm gonna keep it lighthearted, but at the same time, it's like I tell people all the time, like just be aware of what the choices that you're making that may impact somebody else, right? Because again, you come from Canada, I come from New York, and that's the U.S. and um, our politics for goalball are very different. The way that goalball is ran in Canada is very different than it is ran in the U.S. and um, but it's a very brutal sport. It's a sport that I would tell everybody here that's watching the podcast to definitely check out. It's played on a court that is 9 by 18 meters. All of the players are blindfolded so that it's an equal playing field. And if you imagine somebody with a bowling ball and the way that they would roll a bowling ball and how fast a bowling ball moves down the lane is approximately how fast some of the harder throwers in the country and the world throw. Some guys have been clocked in throwing 50 miles an hour, and you have to block that ball with your body, almost like the same way you would block a soccer ball with your body. So just kind of put those visual things into your mind, and then go type it in on YouTube, Goalball on YouTube, and you'll see a whole bunch of videos.
Oh man, you described that so perfectly. Thank you for doing that because I was going to kind of do that and that was very helpful. I'm going to add to the brutality of the sport. I've seen a lot of injuries along the way as well. It's not when you describe it to people, I think it's difficult for them to visualize and to understand how fast-paced it can be and how easy it could be to get injured if you're not doing things correctly.
Oh yeah, I've gotten several injuries playing goalball, some of which I still deal with to this day. Dislocated my finger. One time I threw a ball. This was in Utah, maybe I don't know, 2015, 2014 ish, and I was playing against one of our better players in the country, and I don't mind name dropping the guys that I actually love, who I watch playing the sport. Tyler Merring. I was playing against Tyler Merring, and I had a team, and we were losing, and it's like, for the lack of better words, me and him were shooting it out. So we were just going back and forth, scoring goals, and like trying to just win this game. And I remember I went and I was playing center, and I threw a ball, and I was wearing like gloves. And I remember just my hand, I guess I scooped the ball too low to the ground, and I hit my hand on the ground. And I just remember throwing that ball, and then I just stood there, and I was like, I broke my hand. I broke my finger, rather. I was like, I broke my finger. That's all I said. Like, no screaming, no panicking. I was just like, I broke my finger. And then there was just like, all right, like officials time. They took me out the game. I came out the game. Like my knuckle was like pushed all the way back. And then they had to get the trainer, and the trainer came. She pulled it, popped it back into place while the game was going on. She taped my finger, taped like two of my fingers together, and I went right back in the game. But I thought it was broke. I legit thought it was broke, and I played the rest of the tournament with with my finger. They popped it back into place, but it was like I thought it was broken. Obviously, it swelled up right after that and everything. But I still played the rest of the tournament, and that's just some of the brutality. And
I've been really lucky compared to you by the sounds of things. I think we've all had those moments where we've kind of hit the floor with our fingers in the wrong way and you get that twinge of pain. But I was injured once. I shouldn't even call it an injury, but I was hurt once and I didn't even realize I was hurt. This was at one of I'm sure you've been to this tournament a number of times, the one in Michigan. They didn't hold it last year.
yes, I love that. Yes, they're hosting it next year. Just putting the plug out there for all of the goal ballers who are watching. The Michigan tournament is coming
Oh,
back.
thank God. 2024 or
Yes,
oh, yes. Okay,
2024.
good. Well, I hope to be there. But this was at that tournament, and I can't recall if it was a semifinal game or a medal game, but it was intense, and I was playing in the right wing, and I thought okay, I'm a sweater, all right? I sweat. It's no secret. We're human. But this one game, I was feeling the ground in front of me because to situate and orient ourselves in the sport of goalball, there are taped lines on the floor that are tactile, so we can use our feet and our hands to orient ourselves on the court. So I'm zipping back to my wing after throwing the ball and put my fingers down to make sure I'm at the right spot. Put my fingers down near the tape. And the floor feels like really wet, like more wet and sweaty than normal. And I'm thinking like, wow, I must be really nervous or like sweating extra. And then I'm thinking like, why is it so thick? Like this is really gross. And then all of a sudden, well, it shouldn't say all of a sudden because it took a little while. I think a few more balls got thrown. And then someone says medical timeout. And I'm like, what? Who's hurt? What's going on? Come to find out,
Mm.
I had been bleeding all over the place and I didn't even know it.
Oh wow,
Yep.
that's crazy. Where were you bleeding from?
My
Your
broken nail.
nose? Oh.
So listen, I don't even have nice nails because I play goalball. I don't do my nails. There's no having nice nails when you play goalball. But I was like, well, I can't go down. I can't be known as the person who stopped playing because she broke a nail in the semifinal or final match. That's not happening. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not hurt. It's fine. But you're blindfolded, right? You have your eye shades on, and so I don't really know what's going on. I have no idea how bad it is. In fact, we patch our eyes under our eye shades in competition these days too. So I just have no idea. I can't use any vision that I have. And they're telling me, like, there's blood all over the floor. It's all over the ball. We're going to have to clean everything up and change the ball out. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get a delayed game. I'm going to know I'm going to get a penalty. Everyone's going to think, I broke a nail and I'm not. And I'm not that kind of person. But luckily, again, very fortunately, I wasn't injured enough. It was just a broken nail, so we taped her up. I don't think we ended up getting a penalty, and we were able to go on with the day. So I think the weirdest thing for me was I didn't want to delay the game, get a penalty. I didn't want to be known as the person that stopped playing because of a broken nail. But I was also like really curious I was trying to imagine what all the blood looked like. And I don't know what that says about me, but I was like, this kind of sounds kind of cool, kind of brutal. And it kind of just reinforces that this would be a great game to televise. Like, why is this not all over TV? People would eat this up.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess I can categorize you as a person who stopped playing because you broke a nail. Because I haven't seen you at a tournament in I don't know how many years. So
Ouch.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I haven't competed much in the last few years other than our nationals tournament. I've just been busy. I've been busy working on podcasts and television shows and things yet to come. So I've been busy, but I'm trying to come back this year. I'd like to come back to Michigan, depending on when it is, maybe Montreal. Are you going to Montreal this year?
I am going. I will be in attendance for sure. I love that tournament.
I know that you're a person that likes to give back to. You're part of what is it, the New York Association of Blind Athletes, right?
Yes, I am the president actually.
You are. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yes, I'm the president. I've been the president for a while now, actually, maybe since like 2016-ish. And so I am the president of the organization. I am uh the women's head coach, and my assistant coach is Alvin Suarez for the women. And then obviously the team that I play for, whether it's the New York Empire or the New York Knights, I'm kind of like a player coach in that situation, and just trying to continue to groom younger players to be great athletes, and so they can take over for me in the next few years, and so I could just kind of kick back and focus on music and still go out there and bust ass when I play. So
I
yeah.
love it. You kind of sound like me in that you're a busy person, and for me it really helps keep me out of trouble.
Oh
So,
yeah.
not eating too many edibles and falling on into Ubers.
Right, right. I'll tell you, it's a life. But I love what I do, and that's what I really surround my life with is really goalball music and family. Like that's all I really care about at this point. Especially with the climate of the world, you see everything is just it's crazy. From all of the battles that's happening overseas to things that's still happening in my home country with racist police and just a system of oppression. Like I'm very much so a deep person, and um, I know that I can't change the world, but I can. I always tell people if I can take a little slice and change that, then hopefully the people that I've affected in this little slice that I had can go on to change something, and they can have a little slice that they change, and then maybe one day we can effectively make a huge impactful change.
I think that's amazing. I knew that you were an impressive person, but I had no idea that you did so many things and that you felt so passionately. So it's just been really nice to get to know you on a bit of a deeper level than running into each other at goalball tournaments, and then maybe the little parties that
That
happen when
go.
we don't make it to the semis.
I know. Tell me about it. I've been at a lot of
It's
those.
kind of like the consolation prize when you don't make it to the semis or the, you know what I mean? You don't have to play on the final day of the tournament. You can kind of go out and enjoy the town and have a good time. So,
Right, and then catch up with friends. Like the one thing I love about Goalball in itself is that I've built a connection with friends around the country, around the world. So it's like I feel like almost wherever I go, I have somebody where it's like, hey, can I crash on your couch for the night? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and then vice versa. Like guys come from out of town to come to our practices and they come and they crash on my couch or they crash on one of my teammates' couch because it's like we know each other so well. It's like we're almost like family. And it's like to have that sense of community, you don't get that too often in life, you know? Even in like the industries that we work in, like with yourself with TV and film and stuff like that, and now the podcast, like you don't get that sense of family. It's just like business, kind of like, oh well, it's great to see you, Jennie, and blah blah blah. But it's like you can't just say, oh, I'm going to LA this weekend, and I know I can stay with my friend Jessica down the block. You know, like I could go to LA right now and call 5 different people and be like, hey, I'm in town. Can I crash with y'all for one night? And I can stay in LA for legit a week and just crash with a different friend who plays goalball because we're like family and they trust me and I trust them to keep everybody safe, if that makes sense.
no, it's really true. I've not made any kind of connection that even comes close to matching what I've made inside the goalball community. Like it's totally unmatched, and I couldn't agree more. And what I'm hearing is that when I come visit New York for the first time, I'm going to have a couch to crash on, and I've actually got a whole spare room if you ever come to Halifax. So, and really, again, good to see you.
Yes.
Jahron. I'm just gonna keep calling. Does that bother you?
No, it's refreshing. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
cool, cool. All right. Before we go, we gotta know how can we find your music? And just even before you tell us, I have to tell you, your shit is some of the best stuff on my workout mix. That's where I primarily listen to your stuff is on my workout mix. But where can we find you? Where are you?
So I am on all streaming platforms, um, at J.Dollaz. So that's J.Dollaz. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm primarily on Instagram. You can also follow me on Snapchat. And that's J.Dollaz Music, no space. So JDOLLAZ and that's on all like social media platforms, whether it's like Twitter, um, Instagram, Snapchat, but I'm primarily on Instagram and Snapchat. And then if I like you enough, you can follow me on Facebook, and that's just like my real name. But I do have like a fan page on there, which is also J.Dollaz. And you know, let's connect. Let's talk. I'm on YouTube, also the same thing, J.Dollaz Music. So I'm pretty sure Jennie will drop those links in the comments somewhere, or in the description section, and just click on those links and follow me and let's connect, and maybe I could jump on your podcast.
If you follow Jahron, J.Dollaz on Instagram, I have to warn you, be prepared to number one, get a like kind of really cool taste of what goes on in the studio. We get some little snippets of that. And also on occasion, I don't know if it's you cooking, sir, but you show off these amazing spreads of food that just make me want to be there and sample all of the food. So be prepared for that if you follow him on Instagram.
Okay, I should bring the food thing back then, because I go out to these restaurants and I always like be posting my drinks, but and like the food that I'll be eating at these restaurants. But I do actually cook as well. I just made some great salmon the other day. And so I will bring those things back. I'll bring that more to the light.
Okay, so you're making salmon when I crash on your couch.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I
I got it.
I want to thank you so much, J.Dollaz, Jahron, for being here. It has been really nice to chat, and you're even cooler and wiser than I thought you were. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on the podcast. And I look forward to coming on in the future with some more things. I got some music coming out next year. I haven't put out a project in a while. I have put out some stuff on YouTube, like videos, just like freestyle stuff. but I'm actually gearing up for the top of the year. I've been doing a lot of writing, so I've been out in Miami working with a lot of reggae artists and different things like that behind the scenes. But um, I will be putting stuff out on the forefront pretty soon, and I'll say this on the air, so it's etched in stone. But I'll also say this off the air. If you are working on TV shows and films and stuff like that, and you need production like instrumentals or different things, I do produce now. So I do make beats. If you need like filler songs or different things like that, let me know and we'll connect and make it happen.
Thank you so much for listening and watching, and thank you for subscribing on YouTube. Has something you've done a million times before gone completely sideways because of a lack of eyesight? I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. So get in touch. You can add a comment on YouTube or send an email to podcasts@ami.ca. You can even give us a call at 1-866-509-4545. One more time, the phone number, 1-866-509-4545. Just make sure to mention Low Vision Moments in that message, please, and thank you. Come and follow me on Instagram and the TikTok. Find me there under Uber Blonde 4, UBERBLONDE, and the number 4. The following people make this podcast possible. Mark Aflalo is our technical producer. Ryan Delahanty is the podcast coordinator, and manager at AMI Audio is Andy Frank. Until next time, my good friends, this thing had better be recording video. It had better be recording video.